the Morning Cruise here at the Joy FM.
We've got Crowder in this morning, and Crowder, I just got to tell you up front, I listened to the podcast all hour and 37 minutes of it, I think.
Okay.
With you and John Crist. And
Really?
I am telling you what, I don't laugh out loud listening to podcasts.
Okay.
Hilarious. So
good. I think he's a comedian.
he is a comedian. No, but I'm not talking about him.
I think he's professional at that.
No.
I think he's
Yes,
a
he
pro
is.
at that.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I'm talking about you.
He's professionally funny.
I'm talking about you. This is not John. Yes,
Okay.
he's hilarious. So
I'm
I'm
going to
talking
quote
about
you on that. I'm going to tell my wife you said this.
I'm going to let you do artist pick on the next song that we want to play. But before we get to it, here are the 3 stories that I just want you to touch on briefly.
Okay.
So I know we've already talked about a little bit earlier you meeting a famous person, but Richard Simmons.
Oh, man.
You met Richard Simmons?
It is everything that you would hope it would be.
My Meemaw loved Richard Simmons.
Everyone loves
with Richard Simmons.
Yes. Oh.
So
did
how
y'all have
was
the
he?
tapes of VCR tapes sitting
all
around
of them.
everywhere?
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes. And the bedazzled shorts that he would wear and the whole thing.
So when I met him, it was at LAX. Like, this is a public space. You know that you're going out into the public, and he's in costume. He's like wearing
shorts?
He's going to fly on a plane, and he's in the tank top and the tiny little shorts. Yeah, I'm like, this is
allow that?
Happy, like he's
just
so happy.
floating. Yeah, it's just like his puppy little hair, you know. Oh
but you,
my gosh!
you buried your
My
nuzzled,
face.
You nuzzled with him.
It was this is perfect. We see him at a distance.
Yeah.
I'd say it's 100 yards away, and Tony. Of course, it's always Tony. I can't spot anybody, but she's like, "There's Richard Simmons." I'm like, sure enough, or someone in costume that looks exactly like Richard Simmons. And at the time, I was doing the puffy little dandelion hair, you know, that fro thing I was doing. So I've got the fro on. He's got the fro on. He sees me see him, and our eyes are locked. Like, it's like we lock eyes. And then I'm like, I don't know when, but I've at some point started running towards him. And I'm in mid jog towards him. And then I realize I have time because I'm thinking, oh my goodness, Richard Simmons is jogging towards me. We are jogging towards each other in the airport, and then we are in full embrace. I'm hugged, and I have my head pressed into his hair, and he smells so good. He's like, it's so good. It's so soft. And the thing, I can't believe I did this, but I grabbed him by the shoulders and put him, you know, at arm's length, and I looked at him so sincerely, and I go, bro, you saved my life. I was 3'15". And he looks at me, and I promise you, I could see they don't fall yet, and I feel bad. I'm like, I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding.
I've been tell him that he was 315, and then he saved his life like he lost all this weight.
I was like, no, man. I've been this same weight since junior high. I'm sorry, that was wrong.
God.
It was wrong, but he thought he took it in good fun. We got a photo together, and it was perfect.
I would have loved that.
It was perfect.
Richard Simmons would have never been on my bucket list, but after hearing that story, man, I would have liked to have been there.
It was amazing.
Okay,
you know, the first Dove Award I got,
Yeah.
and this might be just my move. It might be my move. The first Dove Award or GMA Award, was presented to me by Pelé, the soccer, football superstar. I mean, like
Pelé.
legend.
Yeah.
And if you can go back and find the archives, you'll see me hugging Pelé again. My face pressed into his hair. Yeah,
That's
it's
your
my
thing.
mood.
That's your
And
thing.
again,
That's
he
your
smelled
thing.
so amazing. And
Who
his
smelled
hair,
better?
Richardson, just a little bit.
A
Yeah,
little better.
he smelled like, I don't know, a field in summertime. Yeah, Richard's.
Okay, well, that was the first thing I wanted to ask you about. The second thing that I wanted to ask you about was the rapper filming at your house. There's a legit rapper who acts like your house is his house.
Yeah, it's the wonder of social media these days. This guy started showing up. It was a surprise to me. I was not involved in the initial instigation of this, but there's a guy that would show up, and my wife would let him take photos on our front porch and do poses and whatnot. And he's got an Instagram following. He lives in LA, but at some point this has snowballed a little bit, And so his followers believed that our house was his house. And so I remember looking on the, we got, the security cameras that I can look at online, make sure everything's going okay. And the UPS packages from Amazon or Amazon packages are getting put in the right place. And I look and I go, Tony, what is happening? It looks like there's a music video going down in our house. And she's like, oh, that's because there's a music video going down in our house. And I'm like, who in the world's doing a music video? And she explains, well, there's this kid that lives in LA, but his followers think that this is his home. And so he asked if he could shoot his music video in his house.
That's hilarious.
And so, yeah, there's a guy who whose house is our house.
Is your
yeah.
house. Okay. And
so
then,
anyway, me, Casa, Sue Casa,
Yeah.
anybody that wants to come over,
Okay.
apparently you can.
That's hilarious.
Yeah,
We
get
need
a lot.
to do our next photo shoot.
lot of clout.
Sure,
Morning
yeah.
show photo
Lot of
shoot
clout.
at your house.
Mhm.
Okay, and then the last thing I want to ask you about, please tell us about Eugene.
Oh, the purple puppet.
Did the purple puppet really lead you to Jesus?
Absolutely. I mean, I'm there. I'm 7 years old. We're in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And I cannot overemphasize though that my dad, strict disciplinarian.
Yeah.
Both him and my mom are super devout in faith, and so grew up in a wonderful Christian home, at church all the time.
Yeah.
But he had really instilled in me and my brother, like, do not make a profession of faith until you understand what you're doing. You know, so it's like we were like kind of scared of it. We're like, don't go down that aisle unless you're gonna have to answer for it later. And well, they dropped us off at Children's Church at this place in Tulsa, and there's this guy up on stage, and he's got a purple puppet named Eugene, and he asked Eugene if he would like Jesus in his heart, and Eugene bizarrely was super into it. So he asked Jesus in his heart. I just got caught up, and I before I know it, I'm down the aisle, and I want what Eugene's got. Whatever Eugene's got, I want what he has. And so I'm in the car ride back to the hotel afterwards, and I'm in the back seat, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they are gonna kill me. And so my mom's like, David, why are you crying? And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I asked Jesus into my heart tonight. Of course, they were thrilled. They were so happy. But I'm talking about this purple puppet, and none of it makes sense. And they're like, but my dad's totally fine. But here's what I feel like. I feel like I made my profession of faith under. Well, with the possibility of physical duress, like I feel like just like the martyrs, I was, it was hard, and
It could have cost you dearly.
It could have been terrible. One of them East Texas things.
That's
so
hilarious.
yeah, but years later, I'm playing at a church in Tulsa, and we're with Ricky Skaggs, and I'm talking to somebody, and somebody comes up and goes, "Hey, I've heard you tell this story about the purple puppet Eugene. Do you know that the guy who's the pastor here, that's the guy? He's the guy with Eugene the puppet?" I'm like, "You've got to be kidding me." And they're like, "Would you like to meet Eugene?" I'm like, yes, absolutely. So meet the pastor. He takes me to the office. I tell him the story. I'm like, he takes me in his office. Well, Eugene's right in the office. So we go in, and there's this case sitting on the floor. He opens the case, and there's this dead puppet. And I'm just like, it's the saddest thing I've ever seen. I'm like, close it up. Like, like, you're ruining it all. And he goes, well, would you want one of them? I'm like, no, absolutely. One of them? What do you mean one of them? How many are there? He goes, I've got 4 or 5. I'm like, oh no, you ruined everything. So anyway,
Heroes, man.
yeah, don't meet your heroes. It's rough. It is
Those are
rough.
just great stories. I was driving home listening to that, literally cackling out loud.